大家好，我是戴淑萱，我来自英国，欢迎回到我的频道。This is a video for anyone struggling to write their dissertation or complete a huge project. I've been struggling for a really long time now to finish my master's dissertation. I requested an extension because I am pregnant with twins. They gave me a 10-week extension, which was great, but I procrastinated most of it. So if you're struggling with deadlines and procrastination and increasingly feeling bad about yourself because you're just not getting the things done that you need to, I'm here for you. We're in this together. Let's do it. So we're just getting started, and I will be honest with you, part of the reason for making this video is to also motivate myself. What I'm going to start with is by actually making a document to house all of my notes, all of the things I need to read, and any thoughts that pop up so I can start to get a bit of a structure going. Now you might be wondering, why have I left it so late? Well, complex reasons, I would say. I think the first one was fatigue during the first trimester of pregnancy. Just every day I felt like zero interest in doing anything and just very, very tired. I didn't have the right energy that I needed to do this dissertation. So, it's great that they gave me an extension. After that, I think it's like I had fallen down a hole because I had done so little for quite a few months. And then it's like I started to feel like I couldn't complete the things. Like I was a bit out of practice with that sense of proactiveness and drive. So then I guess it's just a vicious cycle, because the more you procrastinate, the more you feel bad about yourself. And then if you feel bad about yourself and you think you can't achieve something, then you're probably not going to start. So yeah, I guess it's just been a bit of a loop. I've also been a little bit complacent, thinking, oh, it's fine, I've got ages. Which is always what you think, right? You think, yeah, I've got ages, I've got 10 weeks, that's absolutely ages. And now all of a sudden it's less than 3 and I don't really know where that time has gone. There's been a lot of other things happening, like my mind is very much focused on being pregnant, which is a very fascinating journey, and there's so much to learn about it, there's so much to prepare in the house. The house is a bit chaotic because we're trying to get everything ready before the babies arrive. So yeah, that chaos hasn't helped because I haven't really had a good place to just focus and concentrate as well. I think a lot of this is about having a good routine and ritual, which we'll get to. And then there's also been things going on with my company, which is something I need to juggle. We just finished our day workshop event at the weekend, which went really well, but that was something I was focused on, and now that it's done, I am turning towards this dissertation as the main thing on my plate. I think another big reason why I've procrastinated is because I've set the bar so high. I would like to do a PhD in the future. I actually did get in to do the PhD starting this year, sort of at the beginning of October, but now that I'm pregnant and everything, that's obviously not going to happen yet. But to make sure that I can get in and start that PhD, I need to get a decent grade. So there's a combination of all these distractions, being out of practice, getting hard things done and applying my brain in that way, and then impossibly high standards that I've set for myself. So the first thing that I have to do is actually reduce my standards. That is tip number 1 for you if you're struggling with procrastination. Lower the bar. At this point, if I can pass and get my master's degree, that is the goal. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough. I think that's the phrase. Is that the phrase? Having said that, I am gonna study how I can get a distinction because I would really like to get one. I've got a few tabs here. I've got at the top things that I need to include. So ideas that I have, I can jot down in there. Then I've got to read, things that I think might be worth reading, possible threads. And this is where I'm gonna brainstorm with AI to see if it can help me come up with a unique angle. I'm all for using the latest technology to improve your workflow as long as you're not plagiarizing or cheating. Then I've got possible structure, how to score 80 or how to get a dissertation, detailed information about what it requires to get a dissertation so that I understand that before I start writing, and then exemplar ethnography. So this is like published famous pieces of work that are really top notch. I don't really want this to scare me, but I think it's a good idea to know what is an excellent piece of writing, because to get a high distinction at this level, you probably need to have publishable quality work, and what better way to understand what that is than reading the existing published work. But today, what I'm going to start with is going through the past dissertations that the university has provided us, read them through and analyze the past dissertations with ChatGPT and see if it can tell me, why did this dissertation get this score? Because I'm not really sure how to get a really high grade in this field, so that's what I need to know. So here we go. So ChatGPT has actually been really helpful here. It's given me loads of ideas. So I'm starting with like the lower scoring dissertations, which are still like a high merit, 65 to 70%. But I want to know like, why didn't they get a distinction? And it's given me loads of great ideas. So I've just been typing out notes according to what ChatGPT has been telling me so that I can make sure I'm like consolidating and learning this information. We've got things like, don't try to do too much in one paragraph. Don't make it feel rushed. Don't be too general. Always use evidence when you make theoretical connections. So I reckon that's going to be really key, is to find existing debates in the field fields and then see how this relates to my project. So this is me coming into the field as a wannabe scholar and being able to speak to the existing literature rather than just saying so-and-so said this. It's like so-and-so said this and I think this and this is what my work shows. So that's actually been really helpful. Brainstorming with ChatGPT is actually so helpful. I feel like I really understand a lot better now how I'm gonna get a distinction. Okay, I guess that will do for today. All right, so it's a new day and another chance to get cracking on this dissertation. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. We were supposed to record an episode of WooPod, but Rick is hungover, so I guess I better do some dissertation instead. I've come out to our garden shed to try and make a bit of a sanctuary, like a space where I just do the dissertation. I think that's probably quite an important thing, having a specific place that you just work on the task. So as soon as you go to that place or you open that laptop, your brain knows, right, we're doing that thing now. Yesterday I did have a bit of a freak out because I was like, oh my God, I have so much to read and write and I don't know how I'm going to find time to fit it in. But then I started thinking this panic, it's kind of made up, to be honest. Like no one actually cares about this dissertation apart from me. Like yes, doing this project was the reason that I wanted to do the masters at Oxford. But if I can't complete it for some reason or I don't get a good grade, it doesn't really affect anything. So like I'll be sad because I wanted to do a good job of it, but at the same time, the world will move on. It's not that big of a deal. So that kind of helped. And then I was in the pool and I've been going swimming most days and I got into a routine where I do like 1 length breaststroke and then 1 length front crawl and then I have a little rest. Obviously swimming is really good for pregnant people. But yesterday when I went, I felt a bit bored. Like I was like, should I just get out? I feel like I'm kind of over this. And I was like, what? I love swimming. What's this about? And I thought, no, I need to like change the challenge. It needs to be slightly more challenging now because I feel like I can easily do that 1 length breaststroke, 1 length front crawl. So I was like, okay, now I'm going to do 6 lengths in a row of breaststroke. So I ended up doing a few rounds of that and just felt a lot better about it because it's like, okay, it's slightly more of a stretch task now. And I think honestly, this is why I'm doing this masters and maybe on some level, this is why I've left it so late because I have actually written 3 dissertations before. Don't ask, too many degrees. Yeah, so it's like I know I can write a dissertation, but can I write it in 3 weeks? That's the challenge. Anyway, we'll just say that that's the reason and not that I have poor time management. So what I'm going to do today is find material that I need to read and make a plan of when I'm going to do what. So I've brainstormed a load of text that I need to read and try to put like a couple per day alongside writing because I'm so short on time. So I've got like write my literature review in 2 days and then write the methodology in the next 2 days, chapter 1 in the following 2 days. And even then it's like I'm just finishing with a couple days to proofread. So yeah, blood pressure increasing slightly and this is alongside the reading. So I think I'm just gonna have to go full like monk mode. I'm gonna have to go all in on this, go deep. I'm gonna have to keep a sustained focus. The weekend before it's due, I'm going on a trip to London. I'm gonna keep that in there because I think it would be good to get it ready, have a couple days to like refresh from it and then proofread it for the next couple days. We do also have to bear in mind that I am quite heavily pregnant now. So the necessity to maintain a calm, relaxed state of mind whilst making progress has never been more important. So I'm just going to keep reminding myself I chose this challenge. Like no one is forcing me to do this. The consequences are not catastrophic. It's not world ending. I'm going to try and see it optimistically. Like I'm here to accept the challenge and it's not here to crush me. So I just need to be okay with that. There's a chance of failure. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like a stretch, but I'm still going to tackle it the best that I can. And it's sort of like working with those feelings of anxiety and fear of failure and stuff like that. The chance of failure is what makes any challenge worth doing. If there was no chance of failure, this task would honestly bore me slightly. You need to have that little bit of uncertainty. I feel like that's what makes life interesting, right? Maybe that's just me, I don't know. So enough blabbing on. Why don't I just do it? Okay, so today is the 4th of November. I have 2 weeks to write my dissertation. My biggest tip is to just start writing. I've now written 500 words of the introduction, so it's not much, but it's given me the feeling of the ball is rolling. Another bit of technology that's saving scholars huge amounts of time is Notebook LM. You can just put your book PDFs into that software and then you can ask it questions and it will only give you information from that PDF that you've fed it. So there's no hallucination. So this way you can quickly skim, scan, find the relevant information and find direct quotes for what you need. Just obviously make sure to go back to the PDF and double check that the quote is correct and what page it's on. So yeah, that's saving me a huge amount of time. I've currently gone through about 10 papers. I will pick out the relevant passages and study them as much as I can to make sure that I know the point of the paper. And then I'm fitting it into like a general structure of where I think this could go. So my structure is gradually becoming clear. What I've realized in anthropology is you don't have to do all that boring stuff of like literature review methodology. You don't have to like lay it out in that really boring way. You can just do it like as a story. Like as long as you use theory and talk to the literature, then that's going to be great. So I'm feeling a bit more excited about that because I feel like I can write the dissertation in hopefully more of an engaging way. So I should probably tell you what my project's about. Back in July, I went and spent 2 weeks at a postpartum care center in Taiwan. Originally, my idea was, how are women supported postpartum? Obviously, postpartum care as like a center, like a thing that you pay for, is quite novel and unusual from a Western perspective. I just thought it sounded really interesting. Obviously, like during the course of this fieldwork, I discovered that I myself was pregnant, so you know, it's all very relevant. I learned a lot about babies, which is great. What I want the point of my dissertation to actually be is that these centers are like a microcosm of the broader tension between capitalism and care. Now, why is that? Well, the mum's review of these centres was absolutely phenomenal, like 5 stars, 100% recommend the experience. On the whole, like they absolutely loved it. They had a chance to rest, someone else helped with the baby. There were experts there checking their health and the baby's health, like keeping them updated about their baby and so on. So these centres seem to do a really good job at providing a good service. I interviewed 20 women, a load of nurses and some husbands. But the interesting thing is about how our babies looked after, because the thing at the moment in the UK at least is all about attachment. Mum and baby having a strong bond and attachment, and that's like physical proximity. There's a huge emphasis on breastfeeding at the moment in the UK, like for better or for worse. So it just seemed interesting to me that in these centres, the babies are in the baby room for a lot of the time. It seemed very common for mums to basically say, don't contact me between, let's say, 8 or 10 p.m. and like 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning. And then during the day, maybe the baby would be brought in every 3 hours or so to feed, to play for a little bit, and then be taken back. So what I witnessed in the baby room was, of course, a lot of crying babies, which is absolutely normal for a newborn. Like they're going to be crying whenever they have a need. Quite a few times I'd see a baby crying, like for a while, and I'd ask the nurse, what's wrong with this baby? Like, are you going to call the mum or what? And they'd say, mum needs to rest. It was like a sort of ideology. Mum needs to rest. And so I just felt quite sad for these babies. But it's an open question. What do babies really need? We still don't really know. There's not that much research about babies. So there's a lot to say about this topic, and I need to ground it in my research, meaning I need to bring in specific examples of what I've seen and what someone said to me, and then relate this to the broader culture and the context and what this might say more broadly about society and people, because I am in the field of anthropology, which is the study of people and society. So that's kind of roughly where I'm at with my thinking at the moment. I do think it has the potential to be a really fascinating piece of research. So yeah, I'm just going to keep my head down. There is that sense of pressure when I look at how many days I have left to submit. But do you know what? At this point, it's like, I just have to do my best. I can't let it stress me. So yeah, let's see if I can maybe get a decent bit of work out there so I can maybe make some sort of difference before I'm totally snowed under with twins. Okay, so I've been over and over it, and I finally condensed what my exact point is, what I'm adding theoretically to the field, how I'm going to structure it, what I'm going to say in each section, what bits of my ethnography I'm going to bring in where, and how many words per section. So I've worked out how many words I need to write per day. So that's averaging around 1,700 words a day over the next 6 days. So I really need to hit the ground running now. I did have a brainwave last night because I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about, so in anthropology there's stuff about commodified intimacy. So it's like selling care as a service, which obviously these postpartum centres are doing, but they're also selling separation. So it's like rest for the mum, and that means being disconnected from the baby. And that made me think of Marx and alienation, you know, about how capitalism causes workers to feel alienated from their work. So I'm going to be using my concept of commodified separation to show how the limits of care as a capitalist service are shown in the baby. And the evidence I have for that are things like mum's unawareness of babies possibly being in distress without them, and then things like nurses expressing ambivalence. I've used ChatGPT to analyze the other essays that I wrote this year. Some of them I did write like 2,500 words in about a day and a half, and that's from scratch without knowing what I was going to write in advance. And overall I'm averaging about 70. So that's like on the cusp of a distinction. So if I want to get a distinction overall, I need to make sure that this dissertation is like a high distinction. So that's kind of the problem. That's why there's a bit of pressure there, because it's like, I can't just do like good. I need to do like really good in a short amount of time. And I think it is really hard to get a distinction at Oxford. Like, you have to be really original in your thinking and clear in your argument, and it all needs to like work together and be super neat and all of this stuff. So yeah, time is short. The bar is still fairly high, but at least I'm getting started now. So because if I stay on track, I can do 6 days of writing, a couple days of proofreading, then maybe have a mental break from it. Because I think we really underestimate the power of a mental break. That's when the inspiration and the insights come to you. So enough rambling, it's time to write. So I've just about got 10,000 words. They're not very good. So what I'm doing now is going through and sort of with a fine-tooth comb, making sure that each sentence actually kind of makes sense. So hopefully I've got enough time to do that for like all 10,000 words. But at least I've got something on the paper now. So I'm feeling a bit more calm, because worst comes to worst, I just submit that and, you know, I think I'd probably pass, but I wouldn't get a great grade. So here's the updated plan. Just a few days left. For those of you who also struggle with procrastination, let's talk about why we procrastinate and some solutions. First, emotion regulation theory. We procrastinate to avoid the negative emotions a task triggers, like anxiety, boredom, or fear of failure. I think the solution to this is feel the feelings and do it anyway. We think we're supposed to feel good all the time, but maybe discomfort is part of the journey. So take a deep breath, feel the feeling and do it anyway. Yes, I might fail. Yes, I would feel really bad if I made a pig's ear of this project, but I can still try my best. Second, temporal discounting. We prioritize short-term comfort over long-term rewards. This is hard because A, social media is a total time sink with immediate gratification, and B, to escape from that, we have to have a bigger goal in the future that we're working towards that feels important enough to hold in mind even when we're feeling low. Third, self-discrepancy theory. This is where we have an inner conflict between our ideal self who wants to achieve and our actual self who feels pressure or fatigue. This has been a big one for me. I set the bar so high for myself, but it only ended up making the gap between the idealized me and the present me too big. So lower the bar. If you're struggling to start, always lower the bar. Create bite-sized tasks and just be happy with getting something done. Fourth, learned helplessness. Repeated experiences of failure make us believe there's no point trying. This one's really unfortunate, but recoverable. If you fell down a hole like me, where you started feeling like you couldn't accomplish anything because you've been unproductive for months, start with small wins and actually appreciate yourself for achieving them. For me, during my first trimester, it was managing to feed myself and go for a walk. Those were genuine accomplishments. Fifth, identity-based theory. If you feel like you're just not the kind of person who's good at this, you need to prove yourself to yourself. The quickest way to do this, in my experience, is to eat the frog. This means getting your hardest task done first thing in the morning. If you don't have this habit already, I highly recommend trying it. Morning energy is the best, for me at least. I just submitted it. So, I submitted the dissertation. Yay. That was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was just my energy levels were so unpredictable. On like the second to last day, I really surprised myself and I managed to do sort of hours straight and got in the zone and didn't even notice that time had passed. But then the day after that, like the day before the deadline, I just couldn't sit there for more than 10 minutes without feeling just really not good. I think like if you think of your Google storage, when you've used it all and the bar is red, it's like you can't add more stuff, it's just not possible. What you can do is clear up a few gigs. So by having 10-minute breaks, really deep breathing, doing something relaxing, I could save a gig or two. But as soon as I started working again, it would just go straight back up to the red. Something about being pregnant is like the stop button just comes faster. And I think it's taught me a lot about the body actually, because I think I've always been someone who can push through. In the past, I have been able to override the body's cues, but now it's just increasingly not possible. Like it feels so uncomfortable to do that, and the cues are so much subtler. So in later stages of pregnancy, your cortisol levels are about 3 times higher than what they usually are. So it's like once you start adding any sort of stressor, just feels totally overwhelming. Like as you can hear, I got sick. I've been recovering for like 2-3 days. It really took it out of me, and you know, now I'm wondering like, was it worth it? What did really not help was this idea that stress is really bad during pregnancy, it's bad for the babies. Like I understand that, but as someone who's quite conscientious and wants to do the right thing, I just felt between a rock and a hard place, because you know, I could give up and not do that dissertation. That would have caused its own stress. Or I try and do it calmly, which is the easiest possible way I could have done it. But then you get these thoughts of like, oh, if I feel stress, it's going to be bad for the babies. And that thought in itself is the most stressful thought. I really hate science sometimes. Like, why do they say these things? So what I was learning was every single thought, every decision that I make, like when doing this dissertation, cutting out a word, like, does this make sense? All of those things are a drain on your system. So any thought of like, am I going to be able to do it? Oh my God, you know, like a fearful thought would just take the energy away, and every ounce of my energy was precious. So I was just so clear on, I'm just not engaging in those negative thoughts. And that was just the only way that I could see myself through that final day. 10 minutes concentrating, 10 minutes breathing. I'm just being in my body. I'm not thinking about the stress. Because another thing I was thinking, it was like painting our upstairs. So we had new flooring put down like a while ago on a Monday, and we thought, oh, let's try and paint all the walls upstairs over the weekend. So it was a bit of a rush to get it all done. But the thing is, if you've got limited time, there's no point rushing and doing a slapdash job, because then even if you finish, it's going to be like subpar and you're not going to be that happy with it, and you're probably not going to enjoy the process. But what we could do is do each room properly, pay attention to detail and how we want it to be. There's maybe a chance we could still get everything done, which in the end we did. And if not, in the case of the flooring, we could obviously still paint the walls after the floor had been put down. But in the case of the dissertation, it would be like, maybe it's not quite finished, but I tried my best. I enjoyed the process, which is kind of what it should be about. Yeah, so I was just trying to keep that in mind of like, do things how I want to do them, even though time is short. And yeah, I did get it done. I think I gave it a really good effort. I would have liked a few more days, obviously, to actually read over it and see if my argument made sense. But overall, I think it was a pretty good effort in the time that I had. You know, fingers crossed for a decent grade. At some point in the future, I'd probably like to do a PhD, but damn, yeah, would not recommend. Would just not recommend. Unfortunately, that's not the end of my journey. There's another challenge which I need to get to now, which may actually be worse. So stay tuned, hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, so my results are in, and I'm going to check them now. Quite nervous. Here we go. 73. Get in. I got the distinction. Damn. It can be done, people. It can be done. So they liked the content, and I'm going to share with you guys what I actually wrote. I'm excited for that. See you soon. Bye.